A bigger price tag does not mean a smarter buy. Every year, riders like you walk into a dealership, fall for a bike that costs more than a used car, and regret it within months. Not because the bike was bad, because it was not right for your life. Miss that difference, and it costs you every month. By the end of this video, you will know which bikes are worth it and which ones are traps waiting for your signature. Here's a number that should stop you cold. A 2026 Harley-Davidson CVO Road Glide. ST carries a $44,999 manufacturer suggested retail price, the same price tag as its CVO Street Glide ST sibling, for which Harley publishes an official finance example. A 96-month loan at an annual percentage rate of 11.99%. The buyer in that scenario is not paying for a motorcycle. He is paying for 8 years of belief that the bike is worth it. Some riders are right, most are not. Here's exactly what is happening in the numbers and what it means for you before you ever sit on a test bike. The ultimate example. Let's start with the bike that makes this whole conversation necessary. The CVO Road Glide ST is, by every measure, an impressive machine. 127 horsepower, 145 pound-feet of torque, a 44 miles per gallon estimate that's respectable for a bike this size. It's Harley's top-shelf touring bagger, long-distance comfort, presence on the road, and the kind of styling that turns heads at every gas stop. None of that is the problem. The problem is what happens after the sale. Harley's own published finance example using the CVO Street Glide ST, which shares the exact same $44,999 manufacturer's suggested retail price and finance terms as the Road Glide ST, puts this bike at 10% down, a 96-month term, and an annual percentage rate of 11.99%. That works out to $658 a month, and that's before taxes, title, licensing, or any other fees get added on top. Let that sink in. 96 months. That's not a loan, that's a mortgage on 2 wheels. And that $658 number doesn't even account for insurance, tires, or the accessories most owners add in year 1. Hold on to that. It matters more than people expect, and we'll come back to it. There's also this. Harley recently recalled roughly 88,000 touring softail and trike motorcycles from model years 2024 through 2026, including the standard Road Glide and Street Glide, over a blocked breather port that can let pressure build up in the crankcase. The CVO Road Glide ST itself uses a different airbox design and isn't on the affected list, but it's still a useful reminder. A premium badge doesn't mean the rest of the lineup is immune to real mechanical issues. So is the CVO Road Glide ST a bad motorcycle? No. It's an incredible one. If you're the rider who's going to rack up interstate miles, use every bit of that touring comfort, and budget for the full cost of ownership, going in with eyes open. The bike isn't the trap. The 8-year commitment made without doing that math first, that's the trap. Keep that in mind, because it becomes the pattern for almost everything on this list. If this is the first time you've seen the real math behind these bikes laid out like this, that's exactly why this channel exists. Subscribe if you want more of these ownership breakdowns before your next purchase, not after it. And drop a comment. Which bike on this list is your dream bike? I want to know before we get to the ones that actually make sense to own. Now watch what happens when the story flips completely. Buying performance. You'll never use. Now let's talk about a completely different kind of expensive mistake. The Ducati Panigale V4 starts at $27,795. The V4S climbs to somewhere between $35,595 and $37,695. That's superbike money for a superbike that happens to be one of the most track-capable production motorcycles you can buy. Here's the catch nobody tells you at the dealership: most of that performance is completely unusable on a public road. You are not accessing the top of that power band on your commute. You are not using that chassis the way it was engineered to be used unless you are regularly putting this bike on a racetrack. and ownership doesn't get cheaper once you're past the purchase. The Panigale V4 needs an oil service every 7,500 miles or 12 months, and a valve clearance check at 15,000 miles. That's Ducati level maintenance, not commuter bike maintenance. The saving grace is Ducati USA's warranty, 24 months, unlimited mileage, which is a genuinely strong safety net. But here's the real question this bike forces you to ask. Are you buying a track weapon because you track your bike, or because it looks incredible in the driveway? That's not a knock on the Panigale. It's one of the most capable machines ever built. It's a question about who's buying it and why. Here's the part worth sitting with. The Panigale wins every spec sheet comparison in existence, and it can still lose the ownership argument, depending entirely on how you actually ride. The counterexample that proves the rule. Here's where this story gets more interesting, because not every expensive bike is a trap. Some of them are exactly worth what they cost. The BMW R 1300 GS is the reigning benchmark for long-distance adventure touring, off-road capability, premium ride comfort, and strong ownership support behind it. BMW backs their motorcycles with a warranty of up to 3 years or 36,000 miles, and the 2026 break-in service is included within stated limits. That's meaningful peace of mind for a bike in this price bracket, but here's the catch we need to resolve. The GS is only worth it under one condition. You are actually using it the way it is built to be used. Long trips, real touring, maybe some genuine off-pavement riding. If your GS spends its life doing coffee runs and short commutes, you've bought a globe-crossing machine and used it like a scooter. The bike isn't wasted money. The use case is. This is the exception that proves the rule. Premium is not automatically wasteful. Premium becomes wasteful the moment it goes unused. Built for a life. Most riders don't live. The Goldwing carries one of the strongest reputations in all of motorcycling: comfort, reliability, two-up touring ability, and highway refinement that's been refined across decades. Here's the twist. That reputation is exactly what makes it a trap for the wrong buyer. The Goldwing is engineered around long-haul two-up touring. If that's not your riding life, if you're not regularly putting real highway miles behind you with a passenger, you're carrying the cost of a feature set you'll never touch. This isn't a criticism of the Goldwing. It's one of the most complete touring motorcycles ever made. It's a reminder that the best bike and the best bike for you are two completely different questions, and dealerships are not in the business of asking you the second one. So far, every bike on this list has been about capability going to waste. But here's what nobody wants to admit out loud. It's not just the sticker price that gets you. It's everything that comes after it. Insurance, tires, accessories, depreciation. The more expensive the bike, the higher the ceiling on every single one of those costs. And that ceiling doesn't show up on the finance sheet at the dealership. Keep watching, because the next entry shows exactly how far that ceiling extends before you even ride off the lot. The premium, ADV Trap, Ducati Multistrada, KTM Adventure, Triumph Tiger 1200. This isn't an attack on any single one of these bikes. Think of this as one category with one shared lesson. High-end adventure bikes in this class bring serious technology, advanced suspension, strong power, real touring versatility. On paper, they're some of the most capable all-around motorcycles in existence. Here's the problem. That capability comes bundled with complexity, and complexity costs money to maintain, whether or not you ever use it. If your adventure bike spends its life on normal pavement doing normal rides, you're carrying premium level cost and complexity for a feature set that's functionally decoration. That's the pattern now out in the open. Premium ADV bikes aren't bad bikes. They're bikes that punish the wrong rider profile more than almost any other category on this list. Quick pause. If you've made it this far, you already know more than most people at the dealership counter. Stay with me, because the next few bikes flip everything you just heard. The bike that loses the dream and wins the ownership. Now we flip the story completely. The Yamaha MT-07 lists at $8,599 MSRP with a 57 miles per gallon estimate. That's not a typo. That's less than a fifth of the Harley CVO Road Glide ST's price tag, and it sips fuel doing it. Nobody's daydreaming about an MT-07 on a Tuesday afternoon. It doesn't have the image, the luxury features, or the top-end performance of anything we've covered so far. And that's exactly the point. It doesn't need to win the fantasy. It wins the real-world ownership contest instead. Low cost of entry, everyday usability, and none of the financial exposure that comes with the bikes at the top of this list. This is the payoff of everything we just said. The bike that loses the dealership daydream is very often the bike that wins the actual relationship you'll have with your motorcycle for the next 5 years. Practical over prestigious. The Ninja 650 starts at $7,599, with the ABS trim listed around $8,199. It's a middleweight sport bike, comfortable enough for real streets, approachable enough for a wide range of riders, and nowhere near as intimidating or expensive as a leader-class superbike. It's also, frankly, less exciting to talk about. It doesn't have the prestige of a Panigale or the presence of a Road Glide. But here's what you actually get for that trade-off. A parallel twin engine that's cheap to insure, easy to service, and forgiving enough that you're not white-knuckling every ride home from work. You're not paying a premium for a power band you'll never use, and you're not stretching a loan out past the point where the bike still feels new to you. That's exactly why it deserves a spot here. It proves that the less special bike on paper is very often the smarter machine you'll actually enjoy owning, day after day, without the baggage-riding shotgun. The anti-cruiser trap. At $6,799 manufacturer's suggested retail price, plus a $600 destination charge, the Rebel 500 sits about as far from the CVO Road Glide ST as two motorcycles can get while still sharing a category. It doesn't have the touring range, the power, or the premium feel of the high-end cruisers and baggers we opened this video with. It was never trying to. What it offers instead is affordability and simplicity, a low seat height, a light clutch, and a bike you can actually pay off before you're bored of it. If you're newer to riding, this is the bike that lets you build real skill and real miles without a monthly payment hanging over every ride. And when you're ready to move up, it holds its value well enough that trading in doesn't feel like throwing money away. That's an entry point into ownership without the 8-year financial tail attached to it. The ownership sweet spot. And that brings us to the bike that ties this entire argument together. The V-Strom doesn't have the prestige of a BMW GS or the premium technology of a Ducati Multistrada. What it has instead is practical ADV and touring value, enough capability for the vast majority of riders without the cost exposure that comes with the bikes at the very top of the market. This is the sweet spot the whole video has been pointing toward the entire time. A bike that gives you real capability for how most people actually ride, instead of capability built for a life you don't live. So here's the truth underneath everything we just covered. The motorcycle industry does not sell motorcycles. It sells the version of yourself you would be riding one. Most riders still believe the price tag is the decision. It is not. The decision is whether the bike in front of you matches the life you are actually going to live with it, how far you ride, how often, and whether you will ever touch the capability you are paying for every single month. Get that math right, and a $45,000 motorcycle can be one of the best decisions you will ever make. Get it wrong, and even the smartest looking purchase on paper becomes 96 months of quiet regret. The bike was never the villain. The mismatch was. If this saved you from a bad finance conversation at your next dealership visit, subscribe, because that's the entire point of this channel. Real ownership math before you sign anything.